Hey, happy Veterans Day and good Friday morning, Hayes Intermediate student, staff, and families at home. We've got our student council officers
Autumn Hunsinger, Claire Bullock,
Avery Alexander, and Andrew McDaniel.
here to help us with the morning announcements. If you would please stand and join us in saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Andrew, who we got for birthdays today?
Today's birthday is Autumn Hunsinger and Harrison Kinley.
Kinley Harrison.
Kinley Harrison, Charles Frederick,
Jessa who?
and Jessa Hoop. Tomorrow,
One more today.
and Caden Reed.
And then on Sunday,
On Sunday is Amar Merb,
Addie Corber.
Addie Corber.
What do we have for lunch today, Avery?
Today's lunch is mac and cheese with Cheetos, chicken tenders with Cheetos, steamed broccoli, tossed salad, fruit choice, and milk.
All right, we have got our last office etiquette preview video here. Part 4 in our 4-part series. Thank you to our Isabendi officers who have been working hard on all of those videos this week. Memorize those phone numbers at home, right? Student council officers?
Yeah.
Be able to get a hold of somebody. All right. We have some student council speeches today because we are celebrating Veterans Day. So we're going to start with Claire.
On the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month in 1918, World War I ended. This day became known as Armistice Day. In 1921, an unknown World War I American soldier was buried in Arlington National Cemetery. This memorial took place on November 11th to commemorate the end of the war to end all wars. In 1926, Congress resolved to officially call November 11th Armistice Day. Then in 1938, the day was named a national holiday. Soon after the end of World War II, a veteran in the war named Raymond Weeks organized National Veterans Day with a parade and festivals to honor all veterans. He chose to hold this on Armistice Day. Thus began annual observances of a holiday to honor all veterans, not just the end of World War I. In 1954, Congress officially passed, and President Dwight Eisenhower signed a bill proclaiming November 11th as Veterans Day. Due to his part in the creation of this national holiday, Raymond Weeks received a Presidential Citizens Medal from the President Ronald Reagan in November 1882. In 1968, Congress changed the national holiday commemoration of Veterans Day to the 4th of Monday in October. However, the significance of November 11th was such that the changed date never really got established. In 1978, Congress returned the observance of Veterans Day to its traditional date.
Thanks, Claire. Up next, we have Avery.
On January 1st, 1776, the Continental Army was recognized in accordance with a congressional resolution which placed American forces under George Washington's control. On that New Year's Day, Continental Army was laying siege to Boston, which had been taken over by the British Army. Washington ordered the Grand Union flag hoisted above his base at Prospect Hill. It had 13 alternate red and white stripes and a British Union Jack in the upper left corner. On June 14, 1777, to establish an official flag for the new nation, the Continental Congress passed the first Flag Act, resolved that the flag of the United States be made of 13 stripes, alternate red and white, that the Union be 13 stars, white in a blue field, representing a new constellation. Between 1777 and 1960, Congress passed several acts that changed the shape, design, and arrangement of the flag and allowed for additional stars and stripes to be added to reflect the admission of each new state. On August 3, 1949, President Truman officially declared June 14th Flag Day. The 50 stars represent the states. The red color symbolizes hardiness and valor. The white color symbolizes purity and innocence. The blue color represents vigilance, perseverance, and just.
Thanks, Avery. Up next, we have Andrew.
The Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. Exactly 3 years after the end of World War I, the Tomb of Unknowns is dedicated at Arlington Cemetery in Virginia during Armistice Day ceremony. Presidents over by President Warren G. Harding. 2 days before, an unknown American soldier who had fallen somewhere in World War I battlefield arrived at the nation capital from the military cemetery in France. On Armistice Day, in the presence of the President Harding and other government, military, and international dignitaries, the unknown soldier was buried with highest honors beside the memorial amphitheater. As the soldier was lowered to his final resting place, a 2-inch layer of soil brought from France was placed down below his coffin, so he might rest forever atop the earth which he died on. The Tomb of Unknown is considered the most hallowed grave at Arlington Cemetery, America's most scarce military cemetery. The tombstone itself, designed by sculptor Thomas Hedison Jones, was not completed until 1932, when it was unleaved, bearing the description, "Here rests in honor, glory, an American soldier, known but to God." The World War I unknown was later joined by unidentified remains of soldiers from America's other major 20th century wars, and the tomb was put under permanent guard by special military sentences. In 1998, a Vietnam unknown who was buried at the tomb for 14 years was disinterred from the tomb after DNA testing indicating his identified. Air Force Lieutenant Michael Blaze was returned to his hometown of St. Louis, Missouri, and he was buried with military honors, including an F-15 jet, missing man flyover, and a lone bugler soundtracks.
Thanks, Andrew. All right, up last, but certainly not least, is Autumn, our student council president.
The forces who protect our country, Air Force and Air Force Reserve. The nation's source of air and space power, the primary mission of the USAF is to fly planes, helicopters, and satellites. Air National Guard. The Air National Guard, as we know it today, is a separate reserve component of the United States Air Force. Army and Army Reserve. The dominant land power, the Army generally moves into an area, secures it, and instills order and values before it leaves. It also guards U.S. Installations and properties throughout the world. Army National Guard. The Army National Guard is an elite group of warriors who dedicate a portion of their time to serving their nation, and each state has its own guard, as required by the Constitution. In fact, it is the only branch of military who exists and actually required by the Constitution. Coast Guard and Coast Reserve Guard. Coast Guard and Coast Guard Reserve. The Coast Guard's mission is primarily with domestic waterways. The Coast Guard does rescues, law enforcement, drug prevention, and clears waterways. Marine Corps and Marine Corps Reserve. The Marine Corps is known as the U.S. Rapid Reaction Force. They are trained to fight by sea and land and usually are the first boots on ground. Marines are known as the world's fiercest warriors. Navy and Navy Reserve. The Navy accomplishes its missions primarily by sea, but also by air and land. It secures and protects the oceans around the world to create peace and stability, making the seas safe for travel and trade. Where are all these military men and women stationed? These U.S. operates in over 100 countries, including the UK, Germany, Italy, right there. Bahrain, Brazil, South Korea, Australia, Afghanistan, Iraq, and Japan, just to name a few. Mr. Nessler will be reading the places that each of our visiting veterans have been stationed. They are literally all over the world.
And in that video, I did not read it, but there is a video of the slides that all of our students made that has where all of our veterans did serve. All right, to take us out of morning announcements today, we have TAPS as presented by Grove City High School. Thank you, everybody. Have a fantastic Friday. And remember,
Be respectful, be responsible, and be ready.